Now, after 2 years on the run, Nnamdi Kanu, leader of the separatist group that wants a breakaway state in southeastern Nigeria, is in chains and in the custody of the Nigerian authorities. Nigeria's Attorney General Abubakar Malami, who made the announcement, said Mr. Kanu was detained on Sunday with the help of Interpol. He was subsequently flown to Nigeria and was today arraigned in court in Abuja by the country's secret police, the Department of State Security, or DSS. His movement, the Indigenous People of Biafra, or IPOB, has been labeled a terrorist organization by the Nigerian authorities. IPOB established an armed wing, the Eastern Security Network, or ESN, last year, and the authorities say the group has been responsible for a number of attacks on police stations and other public properties in southeastern Nigeria.
Mr. Nnamdi Kanu, the self-acclaimed leader of proscribed IPOB, was sometimes back arrested precisely on the 14th day of October 2015 on 11-count charge bordering on terrorism. You may also recall that a judge at the Federal High Court, Abuja, on the 28th March 2019, revoked Kanu's bail that was granted him on health ground and issued a bench warrant for his arrest on the same date over his failure to appear in court for hearing. He has, often jumping bail, been accused of engaging in subversive activities that include inciting violence through television, radio, and online broadcast against the Nigerian state and institutions. Kanu was also accused of instigating violence, especially in the southeastern Nigeria, that resulted in the loss of lives and property of civilians, military, paramilitary, police force, and destruction of civil institutions and symbols of civil authorities. Self-acclaimed leader of the proscribed secessionist indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, has, for your information, been intercepted through the collaborative efforts of the Nigerian intelligence and security services.
Nigeria's Attorney General Abubakar Malami making that earth-shattering announcement earlier in the day. Well, for more on the story, I'm joined now in the studio by Arise political analyst Sumner Sambo. Good to see you, Sumner. Just give us the details of what we know so far. He is incontrovertibly under arrest in Nigeria, isn't he? Yes,
I mean, it's a big win for the Nigerian government, and he's currently been taken to court, and then from court, the Justice Bintanyako has asked that he should actually be remanded in custody after being brought back by the security services. And a lot of Nigerians were actually taken aback by this information. Many of us journalists were finding it initially to actually believe this could happen, because the security services had been on his trail since 2017 when he ran out after that attack on his hometown, where he had to actually flee. And from there, we actually saw him in Jerusalem, in Israel, and from there he eventually found his way to the UK, where he has been, of course, continuing with his broadcasts, which the government has described as illegal. They tried to push down the Radio Biafra that had been running, tried to use technical aspects to run it down, but it wasn't so successful. He had to switch to social media.
So, I mean, you mentioned this briefly as you were setting out your analysis there. How big a deal is this capture of Nnamdi Kanu? He's arguably close to the top of the list of Nigeria's most wanted fugitives.
Yeah, it's a very big one. I think after Abubakar Shekau, who is now dead, based on the intelligence sources that we have, and from what the ISWAP has been saying, the next person on the radar of the Nigerian government is Nnamdi Kanu, because of the weekly broadcasts, sometimes daily broadcasts that he actually turns out. And of recent, we've seen this hike in increase actually in attacks in the southeast, starting from when we saw the attack on the Owerri Correctional Facility, and then going to the State Police Command, and then it just moved around the 5 states of the southeast, and then killings, attacks on police facilities spreading way into the south. I mean, it's been a very difficult period for the Nigerian government. And so they had been on his trail seriously in the last 1 year, actually, since 2017 when he ran away. And then since then, we've seen a major kind of collaboration between Nigeria and some other intelligence networks. And then we're actually surprised by the information coming from the Attorney General that it's a collaboration with Interpol. We had thought that the same tactic that was used in the Second Republic, where the former Minister of Transport, Umar Diko, was actually created. Yeah, I mean, created on his way, being taken back to Nigeria before he was exposed at the airport there in the UK. We had thought that that was the method, but surprisingly, we are told that he's been brought in for the past 2 days now.
It followed the letter of the law,
yes.
basically.
So, I mean, apart from him, the next person is Zakzaki. So, there were 3 of them in that chain. Abubakar Shekau from the northeast, and then we had Nnamdi Kanu from the southeast, and then we had, El Zakzaki in the northwest. These were the 3 thorns in the flesh of the Buhari administration. Now, one is dead, one has been recaptured, and then one is still undergoing processes. So, yes, we will actually commend the security services for doing their job, but we must ensure that nothing happens to Nnamdi Kanu at this point in time. The justice system must be allowed to take its course so that we don't have another incident of someone as big as this dying in detention.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
In 2009. With the late Yusuf Mohammed of Boko Haram, when he was captured and then handed over to the police by the soldiers, and then all of a sudden he was said to have died in custody, and that led to the spike in Boko Haram attacks, and then it metamorphosed into not just a Nigerian phenomenon, but a West African phenomenon.
Well, I mean, obviously he has some pretty heavyweight charges against him, as you pointed out, not least treasonable felony. And as you said, charges...
And heading an unlawful society, in quote.
Absolutely, and charges that the group he leads and inspires, IPOB, along with its armed wing ESN, have been responsible for a number of attacks on police stations and other public properties in the southeast. But we should point out that IPOB have consistently denied that they are responsible.
Yes, I mean, since the setup of the ESN, which was in contrast to what the Southeast governors had set up, the Ebubeagu security network, the ESN kept on saying that, look, they were not responsible for these attacks, that some foreigners had been brought into the Southeast to cause trouble, to pillage the society, and then make it look like it's the IPOB through the ESN network that is doing that. And then, of course, Nnamdi Kanu kept on pushing this rhetoric that, look, it looks like it's an invasion by armed headsmen. At a point in time, he said it's Fulani militia and all of that. Eventually, there were some traces, actually, by the security services when they found out that some IPOB members were involved, and that's why you could see some of the commanders being killed and all of that. Even of recent, you've seen captures, even some people who actually produce charms for them, being killed and all of that. But one thing that needs to be underscored here is that it's a very big challenge for the Nigerian government politically also, because they have to allow the rule of law to prevail.
Yes, because that's a very good point. I was going to ask you, should his arrest worry Nigerians in terms of its security implications for the country? Are we likely to see a resurgence or a weakening of IPOB and ESN as a result of this development? Well,
in the recent weeks, IPOB has actually been weakened by the attacks led by the Nigerian security services, and then you could actually see some of their leaders that are not so prominent have actually run out of Nigeria too, using what's popularly known as the Nadeko routes here, when you use unmanned borders and all of that. And so it's a very difficult or dicey situation for the Nigerian government, because politically Nnamdi Kanu is popular with a lot of people in the southeast, because they feel that he's helping to propagate the ideals of the Biafran nation, which had failed, after that First Republic coup and all of that, and then the Biafran civil war that happened. And so there's this mass of critical mass of youths that he controls in the southeast. And these are people that are doing businesses, that are well-to-do. They contribute finances and send over to him. And he, of recent, has been giving even account of the money sent to him and all of that. So he's been running a network that presents itself as fighting on behalf of the Igbo nation.
And let's also point out that his material, some of the broadcast material, the videos and so on, have seemed to support the violence taking place in the southeast.
Yes, I mean, it's been very obvious that he cannot actually say that he's not propagating, you know, ideas that are meant to overthrow the Nigerian state, because you could see it at a point in time that the target was the state, not just a hatred for Buhari as the president, but the country. Because when you target police stations, you target INEC offices, it's no longer the person who is the president that you're fighting, it's now the state. And so that's why you could see these charges of terrorism and all of that. Right. And it's actually a very difficult time, not only for the Nigerian state, but also for Igbo leaders. Because don't forget, Nnamdi Kanu was released on bail based on what Senator Aniaholu had taken upon himself in 2017 to stand in the gap and see how he could be released, so that there will be less tension in that area. But unfortunately, he ran out of the country, and then there was a big challenge on Senator Abaribe.
Okay. We've got about 20 seconds. Yes. What happens next? What will the sequence of legal and judicial proceedings be that we can expect?
Well, he's been presented before a court, and the judge actually said that he should be taken into custody at the moment. So that trial will continue, but I can tell you that he won't be in that Kuje prison where he was. This time around, it has to be in a very tight detention facility, hopefully at the DSS facility in Abuja.
In the basement.
Yeah, I mean, because if you leave him to some of the correctional facilities that we have, there's a tendency that some of his aggrieved members may attack that facility and then free him. Okay. So you may see the Nigerian security services tightening the noose on him.
Okay. Sumner, thank you very much indeed. Much appreciated. So much, Sumner Sambo, Arise political editor there.